Hey boys, welcome back to the channel where we're going to be continuing our 2023 discussions, and in this one we're going to be moving on to the Cronulla Sharks, who had an outstanding season last year. They came in second on the table. Were they the second best team last year? I don't think so. Now obviously there was a bit of talk, and I mean it was correct that they had a pretty easy draw compared to, well, I think it did end up they had basically the best draw for the season, just taking on the lesser teams more likely than the top teams. But at the end of the day, like, you can only play against what's in front of you. So they did a good job. The only issue with them was their record against the top 8 teams, or the better teams in the comp. Now, I think again this year I think they had also a pretty good draw. So I'm saying straight off the bat, I don't think they're going to be top 4. I think they'll make the 8. I'm tipping, again, I keep saying this, but I'll do like a proper ladder prediction in another video, but I'm leaning around that 5th, 6th spot on the table for now. But once I have a better look at every team, I'll adjust accordingly. But I do think they'll regress slightly, which sounds strange, but I don't know. The question mark about them is, do they have that next step to take on the better teams in the comp? And we'll go through the team. We'll go through the signings here in a second. But I don't know. A couple of their key positions, I still feel like they're going to struggle against the top teams in the comp. So let's look at the gains. Oregon Kaufusi from the Eels. Great pickup. Very underrated Kaufusi. I think he could have a breakout year at the Sharks. They've obviously lost a couple of big men. And there's probably, they still have a lot of, they got a lot of middles. They got a lot of middles to sort of work around, which is a little tricky. I actually feel like at the moment there's such an influx of big, good middle forwards at the moment. Like, a lot of clubs have so many good quality middles, but Kaufusi, good pickup from the Eels. And then that's pretty much it. A couple of guys I'm not too sure of, so not too much. And the losses, Fafita obviously retiring, Luke Metcalf to the Warriors. They were trying to get him last year, but the Sharks didn't want to budge for whatever reason. I mean, I guess they didn't want to give him an advantage. I don't know. Just let him play along in the reserves. But a good player would have been a good backup. I don't think he saw any games last year. Wasn't really called upon. Franklin Palais we talked about in the Bulldogs discussion, and then Aiden Tolman also retires. So a couple of the old stalwarts retiring, which I actually think is probably a good thing for them. I don't think they added too much. I mean, Fafita, the odd game he played last year, well, he played a few games actually at the back end, but he found a little bit of form. But I think overall, this is a good thing for the Sharks. They're starting to wane off a bit of their detritus, so to speak, and bring some of these exciting youngsters through in the forward pack. So yeah, not too much changing this year. Obviously, they did most of their recruiting last year, and I think the year before they got a few. So yeah, it's basically the very similar team, just another year of players getting familiar, which I guess, maybe they will take that next step. But let's have a quick look at the 17, which is again going to be very similar to last year. The fullback at the moment, Will Kennedy. So they got here actually in the other, Lachlan Miller played a bit. There's Cade Dykes. Obviously Miller's gone to the Knights. I think that was confirmed. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was confirmed. So Lachlan Miller's gone, but they do have Cade Dykes as well there. They got some decent backup outside backs for sure. Connor Tracy, Matt Ivalu, Harodi. There's some good stuff there. So I don't know if their 17 they've got predicted here is going to be what they go with. But Will Kennedy, I think he does cop a bit of flack, but I think attacking wise he is very sharp. Just one of those fullbacks with great hands, good acceleration, is able to just getting those sweep. He looks really good when they run a good sweep play line out the back. Obviously, defensively, he needs to step it up and probably positional play a bit lacking at times. But I do like Kennedy at the back. Ronaldo, absolute star, absolute gun. I'm still devastated that he's not able to play for Queensland, dude. But I love Ronaldo. He's an absolute weapon. And then Sony Katoa, also very, very good. One of the more underrated wingers in the comp. Really, he is quite a finisher, and just, I mean, not big, but just a tackle breaking. Does all the hard stuff as well. So I like it. I like their back three, honestly. Jesse Ramian Ramian's a tough one to he's a tough one to talk about. Like, he can have games where he's just brilliant, like he's tackle breaking, scores a couple of tries, like he's on fire. But then he's rocks or diamonds, dude. Like, obviously the ill discipline as well. He's just Ramian. He's got the potential, but He can go missing in games and also come up with some very silly plays at times. And then the other centre of Talakai, I don't know what they're going to do with Talakai. Now, obviously, he had a bit of a barnstorming couple of weeks. Obviously, topped off with the Manly game against poor old Morgan Harper. But outside of that, Talakai was obviously he was strong. Like, he made plenty of meters. Plenty of, good one-on-one defensive work, but whenever he came up against like a really speedy outside center, just center I should say, he did find himself in a bit of bother. So I don't know. It's a tough one. I actually think Talakai would be better suited on the edge. I think his best position would be an edge back rower. Like, it's just less reliant on him, his pace. Now, obviously, he's quick for a big man. Like, he's very quick for a big man. But I just feel up against some of the better centers, he does struggle slightly. So I'll be interested to see if they persist with the Talakai in the centers. Because, like I said before, Connor Tracy has done a fantastic job. Matt Ikavalu, I think, is rather good as well. Moreni Harodi, a youngster coming through, looks pretty good. So I'll be interested to see what they do with Talakai. I think he's better suited in the forward pack, but obviously he is very destructive in the centers as well. Like that, that's the nice thing. You get him one-on-one with a half and an outside back more typically, but yeah, I just think their center pairing, it's a little bit hit or miss at times. The halves, this is where people might get annoyed as well. Nico Hines obviously had a fantastic year last year. I was very hesitant on Hines, how he would go, but he did prove me wrong. Like, he did have a very stellar year. I thought he was excellent for the Sharks. Definitely one of their best players. But I still stand by the fact I think Nico Hines would be a far better number 6. Like, a lot of what Nico Hines does, or what he does good, is just off the cusp footy. Like, he's somewhat similar in Munster in a way where, when he's crabbing across field and not really playing to a set structure, that's where he's looking his best. But obviously when you chuck the number 7 on him, he's obviously got a bigger responsibility to actually steer the ship. The kicking game has to be on point. And I just feel like it takes away a bit of what makes him a better player. So I feel like they need a more controlling number 7, and Hines would work better in the number 6 jersey. Now, I could be completely wrong on that front. I am interested to hear what other people think about that point, because I'm sure plenty of people will disagree with me and think he should be the number 7. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure he'll do a fantastic job again, but I do think that, Matt Moylan, in fairness, Matt Moylan was actually pretty okay last year, but he's one of those positions where I just feel like they're going to struggle against the better teams in the comp with having Matt Moylan as your starting 6. Like, he's just not that good anymore. Like, obviously he's still got some skills, he's got all the tricks, but Matt Moylan's prime is gone. Like, he's just no, he's okay. He's okay. I don't want to be too harsh on him because he did have a good year last year. He was pretty solid, but I do think going forward the Sharkies would be better off with Hines at 6, and even like a guy like where is he? Braden Trindle. Now Trindle is a lot, a lot of people don't like Trindle, so, but I actually don't mind Trindle. I think Trindle at 7, Nico Hines at 6 would be a better option. But I don't know if it sort of seems like Nico Hines wants the 7 jersey. Obviously, we don't know for sure, but that's just my opinion. That's my opinion. I would be interested to hear what you guys think about that. But then we move into the forward pack. Blake Brayley. Very quality number 9. For a small guy, defensively pretty strong. Some great work from dummy half as well. He's got all the skills. Toby Rudolph and Royce Hunt, very strong front row combo. Britton Nakora, Wade Graham, Dalvin Nukin. Let's be real. Wade Graham has to get out of this team. I'm sorry, but Teague Wilton would be far better starting. Wade Graham, he's one of those guys that he's similar in a way where I talked about Josh Hodgson, how he overplays his hand constantly at the Raiders. Wade Graham is in a similar mold where he just gets in the way. I know having a back rower with some good skill. You look at a Kickow who has the destructive abilities, but then he also has some really good hands and he can do some great stuff with the ball in hand. So that's one area. But Wade Graham, a lot of times you just want him to run a good line and just keep the shape out the back for Talakai and the outside men, but then Wade Graham gets hold of the footy. He's trying cutout passes and stuff like that, and it just takes away from the shape. And I just feel like it just doesn't work in this team. It doesn't work in this team. The way their shape was last year, Wade Graham so often he was just in the way. He just kept getting in the damn way of their outside movement. So I think Teague Wilton should start, or I do think Siva Talakai could move into the back row in place of Graham and just be that barnstormer on the edge and attract more players, and then out the back you can still run them. But that's my biggest issue with their forward pack is Wade Graham. Britton Nakora, I think he did get better last year. He went off the boil. He burst onto the scene a couple of years ago, played for the Kiwis, and then he lost. I don't know. He lost his form, but I thought at stages last year he was starting to get back to his best. So it's good to see. And then Dalvin Nukin. I love Dalvin Nukin. I think he was pretty good for them last year as well. Cameron McKinnon, number 14. It's a very solid number 14. He can play in the forwards. He can obviously spell Brayley if needed, and then the big fella Hamlin Ueli and Oregon Kafusi, the number 17. So on paper it's a really strong forward pack. It's got some skill out wide, but like I said, I think my biggest issue is their halves. I just don't think Moylan is the right. I just think they need a better 5'8", or they should swing Hines into 5'8". But that's the main thing. Like I said, they got some good outside back talent as well, not playing. Jack Williams as well. I honestly don't know what the hell happened to Jack Williams. He was obviously touted to be sort of the Paul Gallen replacement. In a way, obviously it's a bit of hyperbole, but he had the similar build, he had the work rate. When I first saw Jack Williams, I was like, this kid's a freaking beast. He's got the speed, he's got the power, defensively rock solid, and then he just never. I don't know what's happened. I don't know what's happened, dude. He barely gets any game time. Even the games he was selected, he wasn't finding the minutes. So I don't know. I guess form has been down, or he's out of favor for whatever reason. But I wouldn't. I don't know. I feel like Williams is a bit of a untapped talent that surely some clubs could do worse to pick him up as a bit of a cheaper option and give him a crack, because I don't know, I feel like there's potential there for Williams. I'm a little shocked he hasn't played more consistently, but there's obviously stuff going on that I'd be unaware of. But yeah, other than that, it's again, it's very pretty much the same as last year with pretty much the exact same. A couple of forward changes, and then Oregon Kafusi strengthening their forward prop rotation. But other than that, it's a good team. It's a good team, and I do think they'll make the top 8, but I just still feel like there's going to be that struggle to actually come up against the better teams or the best teams in the comp. But we'll see. We'll see. Nico Hines, obviously another year to get more used to the half role, because again, obviously he played halves growing up, but at the Storm he was not playing halfback, so he had a full year. He's going to have another preseason now to get the feel of it. So, maybe he does turn into one of the best halfbacks in the comp. But I still stand by. I would rather have him at 5'8", just playing off the cusp footy, very similar to a Cameron Munster. But in order for that, they do need a good halfback. And is Trindle good enough to be the starting halfback? Maybe not. I still think Trindle does have. I think he's got plenty to offer, but again, he's a bit of a decisive or divisive player as well. A lot of people think he's pretty rubbish, so we'll see what happens there. But hopefully, you guys are enjoying the 2023 previews. Make sure to like and comment, and I'll see you in the next one.